Hey, what's up, guys? It's MetaGamesGX here with the chat live, and we're going to be going over why branded Despia is actually doing quite well right now in the meta. We're just going to be doing a check-in on how our deck is doing. We're about a week and a half into the post-Phantom Nightmare format, with the Snake Eyes Populace and Promethean Princess coming into the meta and kind of warping things into a near tier 0 meta. So I wanted to see how good Brand Despia is doing so far, because I made a gambit, as you guys probably remember earlier and before the format even dropped. And I said Brand Despia is going to be one of the best decks, and I'm looking at the pie chart, and it looks like Brand Despia is the fourth most topping deck in a basically near tier 0 Fire King meta. It is a definite tier 0 fire meta, though. If you guys see right here, 67, it's basically over half, 50%, about 55% fire decks, which constitutes, like, a lot of people have compared it to a Zodiac tier 0 format. So that's about what we're into, because the Fire King and Snake Eye decks they are almost the same deck outside of a few different trade-offs for their end boards. They do a lot of the same broken things with the same broken cards. So, and we see branded with 11 tops, right behind Voiceless Voice and Snake Eye and Fire King. Now, I think this is for a few different reasons, but we're going to be going through all the regional deck lists, and we're going to be talking about why branded Despia is doing so well by looking at the trends in these deck lists and stuff like that. We're also going to be talking to chat while doing that, so make sure to leave your comments down below. So, what's up, Damian McNuff? How's it going? Marco Sana, use Shifter and Brand only in tier format. That's fair. Always played with Lock because Chimera board takes a lot of hand traps. That is fair. What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? Boblin, the sexy goblin. How's it going? Personally, try Shifter and Brand, but it's only good if you're going first and your opponent literally can't play. Exactly. I'm very much interested in how you guys feel about Shifter and Brand. And I know, like, certain other decks, like Caleb, you ran Sprite. I saw some people running Shifter and Sprite, which is kind of weird. But maybe that makes sense. You'll have to tell me. Card limits. So I have a second project of 60-card Yumeron with the same draw engines and competitive spells, but uses Sacred Beast and splashes the Wicked Gods. It's really nice. Like, why are you going to that build instead? So, anyways, we're going to talk about this. We see also behind branded Despia, Kashtira, Vanadium, Flu, and Lab, and then a bunch of other decks. It's kind of incredible how much Rescue Ace has fallen off, but we're going to be talking about this because we have 11 brand Despia tops to get into. So this is also just from the recorded data. So, like, obviously certain regionals might be incomplete, but this is what we have. And this is from yugioh Pro Deck. Or sorry, no, I actually don't know where the graphic is from, but whoever made the graphic, shout out. So anyways, we have the first list that topped post-fam Nightmare from Brand Despia was the Keto. They actually won the regional. Keto is a South American regional, so I don't know how big it was, to be honest. I'm not seeing it's not showing how many people were there. I presume it's probably a medium-sized regional. You know, there's still a lot of people down there. More rogue, but they're still wicked players. You have people like Andre Torres, so never knock the South American players, and this guy definitely took the deck and ran through a tournament. Now it's a 40-card build. I've been seeing a lot of trends with 40 cards in branded Despia. Why is this? I think that right now we want to see certain cards, and running more than 40 cards kind of denies us that opportunity. So, like, there's really good cards right now. I think Super Poly is one of our best cards, and we see him running that. We also see him on hand traps. So obviously if you're running over 40 cards, you're kind of just like with hand traps, it can kind of get iffy unless you really turn the ratios, and just getting at the 40 card build seems like it really worked out for him with the 2 Aluber. So he actually decided to cut down on his normal summons, so that makes sense. I've actually debated on cutting Aluber down to 2 before in the past. It's one of those normal summons that you don't always need to have access at 3. You know, some of you are losing hands, of course. Our hands that just are a bunch of normal summons or just non-starters. So that's always like the thing about running 2 or 3 Aluber. But I think the spiciest thing in this build is Goddess of the Third Eye. Now, Goddess of the Third Eye says you can substitute this for any 1 fusion material monster. It's a level 4 light. That's not really too relevant outside of the fact it's a light, which is obviously helpful in certain scenarios for Albion. But when you do this, we see him running the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Now, this means that he's trying to go for Goddess of the Third Eye over Dark Magician, because Dark Magician is presumably more of a brick. And it looks like it worked out for him. My only issue is that Goddess of the Third Eye doesn't work when it's banished, so it's not something that works under Shifter. You can obviously send Albion, which means you don't have to discard a card, which is nice. But that means also your Dragoon doesn't have the pop, which takes away a little bit of why it's good. It's not necessary, but like it's an interesting tech nevertheless. I personally don't like it, but like it's definitely a viable tech. It worked out for him. Then we see the hand trap package that I mentioned before, and this is actually a package you guys might have seen me testing before. To Imperm, to Ash, to Droll. Shout out to Hakuna My Data. I actually kind of got the idea from him because he was like, you don't always want to see clumpy hand traps in your hand, so running 3s of hand traps is kind of hard to do in branded, so running those 2 plus the 2 crossout really does make sense for the crossout package. Obviously, if you don't have the thrust, you run the crossout package right now, and it worked out for him. I think crossout is almost as good as thrust. I just think thrust is a bit better right now because of the fact that it's always live. Also, what's up? We just had 45 viewers. Make sure to leave a like below. We're right now recording a YouTube video. Very much appreciate it. Kalobo Shifter is super good right now in Sprite because you can set up an OTK board where if you side Shifter and going first and then Shifter, you shut down their turn down and then OTK it through Sprites. That's nice, especially if you run the spell card that helps you OTK. That sounds really easy. The Hex Seal Dark. So the Hex Seal, so yeah, this is basically like a light Hex Seal basically, or a dark Hex Seal equivalent. I think that the theory with this one is that's just a level 4. I'm not sure why you would run this over the hexes, to be honest. I think it just has more of a body is probably the reason why. But it does get you into Dragoon. But at that point, run Dark Magician. That's the thing. In my opinion, guys, I think Dark Magician is actually just better. Because if you have Dark Magician in hand, you can go Cartesia with Albaz and make the Dragoon automatically. Also, I think the more important part is having the access to a fusion deployment, Dark Magician to attack over SP Little Knight or crash into Amblowell. I actually think that's quite relevant right now. So that's the main deck. I actually quite like it, all things considered. He only has 1 kit, though. It's weird to me to run kit into a Luber with no High Spirits and Goldstark. That seems infinitely incorrect, but I think his logic maybe was he wanted to summon kit on top of a Luber sometimes, which I don't personally like, but we do see the Super Poly, obviously. I think in a build worth 6 hand traps and 3 Super Poly, that just gets you there. It worked out for him. This is very solid. This is kind of like what you guys should be looking at for a budget list. I'm going to have to look at this and for my updated budget list and kind of base it off of this because this is actually a really good list. And it's a lot cheaper. Kyle B says he just posted my list. Hell yeah, guys. So if you want me to go over your deck lists, make sure to go in my Discord and post your deck list in the deck list channel. I will go over them in a video or on stream here, and then it will be re-uploaded to YouTube. Guys, make sure to leave a like. We're at 14 likes right now with about 40 viewers. Let's get up to 20 likes at least, guys. I know you guys can do it. I really do appreciate it. So we got the side deck here, Lava Golem, 1 Droll to max out, and then Nibiru. I think Nibiru is just really good. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of Nibirus in the side, I think. Nibiru, I think, is the best hand trap and branded right now. Lava Golem's interesting because they're like kashtira boards, and sometimes it's actually okay against the Fire King boards. I think Gingravier normal summon, though, is really bad against Fire King. However, because and also it's a fire, so they can target with Princess, so it's not great. This format, in my opinion, I wouldn't run it personally. Like if anything, like Seal or a Kaiju maybe, but not even. We do have the Lightning Storm Feather Duster package. I think they're kind of. This man did not see a single like this. This list loses to anti-spell really badly, so these should be anti-spells. I mean, obviously he has the evenly, but if they just keep the anti-spell, you lose. And then we have the Tactics. I think Tactics is one of the best cards right now, especially with the crossout package. You should be running Tactics at the very least. Tactics is your best board breaking option. That's what you see in the side deck. I think he didn't want it going first. When you can't search it off a thrust on a monster on field, it's not very good. So like just having it in multiples for board breaking, it's really important. The untargetable take right now is huge. It's huge because they don't know what monster you're gonna take, so they have to make a decision when you go Talon's Take, which is huge right now. Obviously, with the Brandon mirror matches too, just taking a mirror jade is super good right now. Evenly match, I think, is our best board breaker. This is why I'd be running over lightning storms to just take care of a board, and then running the cosmics. Obviously, I think evenly match is very good right now for against Fire King. They don't set up any spell and trap card negates. Most of them don't even run the spell and trap card negate Fire King anymore for some reason. Because evenly match doesn't feel like much of a card because there was a lot of omni negates in the last format, and with only Snake Eye really being the deck that sets up that alongside Voiceless Voice, I think that evenly is looking okay right now against Fire King, and then like Branded, because those two decks don't set up, and then Kashtira obviously. And then you have the D barrier for the cross out. I think that you have to respect lab, and this deck really does have, seems like it has a pretty good lab matchup, and maybe that's what he was preparing for. You have to realize that a lot of these decks are like regional based. That's why they're called regionals. There are regional metas in countries in different states. So you know, a South American meta is going to be different than what my meta is, so just having what he has probably makes sense for him, and he won the regional, so I'm not going to critique that. I'm just saying from my perspective. Very good list. And then the one Tikaboo, I like that. I've actually thought about running the Tikaboo. I was just like, it doesn't seem like worth to run the one of Tikaboo, but hey, it worked out for him, so maybe that's something. So whose list do we have right now? We have the top 8 Morgantown WCQ regional. This was about 300 duelists, so not bad. Congrats to oh, this is Chase's list. Okay, so yeah, we actually, I have a profile of Chase's list actually on the channel if you'd like to check out what Chase had to do. Shout out to Chase. I really do like this list. I based my regional list a bit on it. I thought he had a really solid basis, a lot of the same ideas, you know, we were both already on, but it's like he went ahead with the droplets, and I think the droplets were really good. You know, looks like they worked out for him. This was a really tough regional too. He had like Patrick Hoban there and Patrick Urena. So congrats to him. He sided the puppet with the ad lib, but I already did a deck profile on this, so I'm not gonna go over it too hard. I do like the 2 Quem. Since I know this list, I'll just go over quickly. I think Nadir is insane right now because currently you can go like Droplet, break a board, Brand Diffusion, set up lock, or kill him, and then Nadir Servant. Usually you can kill him, but Nadir Servant's there just in case you get hand trapped. Nadir Servant's just insane right now because there are still a lot of hand traps and you need something to play through it. He did run the Thrust too. I think Thrust is just like Omega alive right now, going first or second, so I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't run it. Obviously if you can't afford it, that's fine. The crossouts are fine. I just think that if you do have it, you should probably be running it, kind of thing. Foolish Burial, no Gold Sark. I think he said he was trying not to play into Droll. I actually do end up liking the Gold Sark. There isn't as much Drolls as I thought. I mean, yeah, there are, but like people are signing out Droll against Brand Despia if they're smart. And then you have the Fusion Dupe, very broken card, and then you have obviously the Tactics for going second, and then the Super Poly. Me and Chase have talked about upping the talents numbers to 2 or 3. I think that that's completely correct. It's just really good. It's something that I probably would have liked. Chase's list is very good. The thing is, I don't see ad-lib lines very well, I guess. Like, I just think Gimmick Puppet's a way better card, even going second. So, I run the Gimmick Puppet instead. But, you know, this list has a very good going second potential, especially with the ad-lib. So I really do like it. And, congrats to Chase on that. And then also the side, what's banishment for on the side? So Chase, if you want to explain banishment a little bit, I like banishment a lot because you can target obvious. It's basically really good in the mirror match. It just solves the mirror match essentially. It's a thrust target too. He runs the 3 thrust. Also, what's up, Yuri Diaz? About to clap locals. Let's go. Gimmick Puppets in the chat. Become a channel member if you want. Also get access to the Gimmick Puppet emojis and all that. We need 2 more channel members actually to unlock more emojis. $5 a month. Very easy way to support the channel. Very much would appreciate it to help provide for more great Branded Despia alerting content going forward. What's up, Jake the Mountain Man? Nice to see you, brother. How's it going, my man? So yeah, Brand Banishment is really good for the mirror match. It's also like okay for just playing through hand trap. So if you're already in combo, I like the Cosmics, obviously. Sides of the Puppet, that's fine. I think we might be off a Droll though. Like Droll is kind of very iffy right now. It just, most of the time Fire King can play through Droll. So I think that's kind of where we're at with that. And then he had the Herald of the Abyss. This is something I'm still going back and forth on because like I feel like it's like correct to play Herald of the Abyss right now, especially with random rogue like Raid Raptor around, and then obviously Purrely still being like a top 10 deck. Like it's like the 8th best deck, but it's still there. You know, you still lose to you still fold to towers pretty easy on this deck sometimes. So that is the thing. So having the Herald of the Abyss really does work. So Chase said it's a GG mirror match. You can use it as a semi-super poly to take away some stuff like Link Kariba. Oh, that's very true. You can also bring back your Mirror Jade or any of your fusions also. Oh, bringing back the Mirror Jade is really important. As you see, he's on the double Mirror Jade. I think double Mirror Jade is quite standard right now. I think that's true with the Quem as well. If you want to talk about Adlib at all, because I don't want to just like slander Adlib. I know Adlib's a very good card, and my man Chase was out. I don't think like Chase wanted to change it from Adlib to Puppet. I just see the Adlib or I see the Puppet lines more. I think either or, you know, both cards are very good. I think Adlib gives you a little bit more backbone, especially when you side the Puppet, because then you can like have Adlib going second, but it's fine. Nicholas Smith, how's it going? So yeah, very good list. And congrats to Chase. Shout out to Chase right here. He got onto team, and there's him with his mat. So yeah, definitely check out this deck profile or the one on my channel if you want to see more on Chase's deck profile. So that was the second top of the format. Next top of the format was by Frederick Martinez. Also, the first regional at Keto was 130 players, so not bad at all. Santo Domingo WCQ regional, about 80 players. South Americans love the branded decks. We do appreciate that out here. Nicholas Smith, what's your opinion on Super Heavy Fire King Snake Eye? I'm not sure. I've seen it a little bit, but I think you take away a lot of the deck's viability by putting in Super Heavy, because like of the, I mean, obviously you can do your Super Heavy combo first, so like I just like don't think it adds enough, and it takes away from your non-engine more, and like running the non-engine just seems better right now. Chase said I really like ad. It gives you much more follow-up game 1, and you don't have to go out your way to set up the ad-lib. It lets you Mirror Jade like 2 or 3 times. Yeah, exactly. Like when you don't run the ad-lib, you do get rid of your third Mirror Jade loop most of the time. So unless you like have a god hand with Cartesia. And did you miss the Dracostapelia? Did you have Dracostapelia in there? That's something I'm not sure if I asked you on. Oh, we did. Yeah, so he was on Dracostapelia. And he was on Masquerade as well. I think Masquerade you need either in the main or side. I did miss it a little bit in my games. I won't lie. I might have won in time in my 2 games with it. But yeah, we have Frederick Martinez's build right here. 40 cards. Once again, you'll love to see it. And we have 3 Aluber, 1 Despia Tragedy, 3 Albaz, 1 Quem. I guess 1 Quem really does make sense when you are running 40 cards. He doesn't run the Adlib though. So he does have the Spring Ends kits. It's very similar to the first list, except he is not running Imperm actually. He's running 1 cross out with 2 Ash Blossom, and then a Called By with 2 Talents and 3 Super Volley and 3 Nadir. That's actually a really cool ratio. I feel like in my head that actually makes sense. That's like 10 cards that constitute like playing through Ash / like could be hand traps. I feel because you have 7 non-engine to play through a board, so maybe that's like a little bit less than the than the Keto one, but you do have the Nadir. Nadir just makes your going second really insane, so that really does make sense. Uriel Diaz, okay, one thing about Banishment is that it's really good when they nib your Sanctifier, so you can end phase Banishment set with Albion. Oh, that's pretty good. And still Puppet Lock, go to Brain Thoughts. Yes. Very pop off king. He's just spitting facts right before cooking locals. Puppet Lock them all, brother. I think Tactics is really insane, though. Definitely a card to look into. I think Nadir is, too. So these are kind of like the best non-engines outside of Thrall, so that makes sense. And then we have, obviously, the side deck, which, I mean, I won't even go over the extra deck. It's basically the same. Oh, we have the Bucephalus. So he's running, actually, the 1-card Gimmick Lock. That's cool. I remember I saw this list somewhere. I was like, hey, I hope you watched my video. I know other people did stuff on the 1-card Gimmick Lock. But yeah, Bucephalus, you know, Nadir Servant Send Bucephalus goes really hard, and when you don't draw any other extenders, so I think that's fine. It looks like I think right now we actually have a little bit more space than usual because we don't need Dragoon with the lack of lab, really, because Fire King is filtering out all the lab right now since they have a really bad matchup. He has the Brigand, obviously, because you need to get the Albaz for the 1-card gimmick lock, so... But you still run the Super Polytarchus and Dragospellion and 2 Mirror Jade, so... Still made room for everything. 2 Grand Guignol. I think 2 Grand Guignol is something we should start looking into, guys. But yeah, what do you guys think about these lists so far? Would love to hear from you guys. Side deck right now, Droll and Nib. Obviously, Droll and Nib, I think Droll is pretty bad right now, but you still, I feel like sometimes need it for the rogue deck, so I won't even blame you if you side Droll. It's just, it's pretty bad against the fire decks, to be honest. Nib is quite good because a lot of the time they can't make a negate under 5. So, and then obviously other decks that are just roaming around. I think Nib is quite good. Then the Bestials, this told me he was expecting a lot of lab, maybe in Tearlament. You do see Tearlament down south, so that makes sense. He has 1 Thrust, which is interesting. Thrust is sometimes theoretically better. I mean, it's the Thrust for going second, though, because no dupe. 2 Cosmic, you need the Cosmic, 1 Feather Duster. That makes sense with like the 2 evenly. Like, I'm not mad about the list. It's very coherent and it makes sense why he did well. So congrats to the duelist. Now let's go to Matias Garcia's list, top 860 players. And this was a 45 card deck. Used to run 2 Grand. It comes up so much. Yeah, it came up actually a little bit. Because a lot of the time you can make your gimmick locks a lot under Nib a lot more with double Grand Guignol. It's kind of nice for that reason. Like I was playing into Grand Guignol like a lot. Or sorry, Nibiru a lot, and like at least we can play through Nibiru. Like I played through Nibiru at least twice at my regional. So yeah, we have this list. It is a interesting list. We do have the 1-card gimmick lock once again. What's up, 1-card gimmick lock? It's back in style, folks. So with the Nadir, Servant Bucephalus, and Brigand. So we do have the 3 Aluber, 3 Albaz, 2 Cartesia, 1 Quem, 1 Albion, 1 Maximus. With the Dark Magician, we are actually first Dark Magician sighting. I think Dark Magician, okay, Dark Magician is actually really good against Fire King, guys. I will always say that. It's just like you need it's not necessary, if that makes sense. It's very good against Fire King. It's just not necessary. Your other cards do enough. Mirror Jade does enough against, like making a Mirror Jade is usually just enough against a Fire King player. You know, looping a Mirror Jade 2 or 3 times really does break a Fire King player's board. We do see the main deck Nibiru. This is something I really do like. This is something I want to test more with, frankly. I think the only hand trap we should be maining, unless we are on Crossout, obviously, is Nibiru. So, because Nibiru is very live. I just think it's really bad against Lab and Centurion. So if we see those decks crop up for whatever reason, we'll take that out. That's why I'm still like, it's in my side. But if I mained it, it might have been a better, you know, if I had it in my regional list, it might have been a little better. How you doing, Erdeneep? Appreciate you coming out. Nice to see you. So, and then we do have 1 Brand High Spirits. Nice to see Brand High Spirits out here. You don't have a lot of targets for it, but you know, the 1 of is fine. It's discard material, especially when you run the 1 Super Poly. If you do draw it with the Albaz, it's pretty much game. Full combo. Or like Saranir, rather. Well, I guess Saranir. And then Nadir, obviously. And then we do have Thrust and Tactics. I think Nadir and I've heard some people say you shouldn't run Thrust and Nadir. I think they are basically very similar cards. They both read Resolve Branded Fusion after Ash. However, I think that you can still run both of them for that reason. He does. That's actually my favorite package, as you guys know right now, is running the Thrust plus Nadir Servant. I think that's quite strong right now. I think breaking Thrust plus Tactics right now breaks any board in a branded deck. So having that is nice. And then we do have the Dragoon, like I said. 1 Mirror Jade. I think 1 Mirror Jade is a mistake. I think that you need it in a grind game. It will come up. That's why I don't, like, he could cut. I mean, you probably need the Dragoon for the Rogue, but for that reason, he could probably, like, cut, obviously, the Lulu or the Tri-Brigade Bucephalus, and then get some more, like a double Grand Guignol. He does have the Masquerade in the side. Bestials, because Tearlaments, I presume, and other things. Lab, and then Droll. I think this was a little bit earlier into this new format, so when a lot of people like hit the gate running thinking Droll was going to be the best card, and I think as we go through we'll do this every couple weeks through these formats, like going through the regional deck lists and then regional branded deck lists, and just see the trends and stuff like that. 1 Harpy Feather Duster, 2 Lightning Storm, 2 Cosmic, 2 Evenly, and then a Typhon. Wow, didn't even notice that. Typhon's crazy. What do you guys think of Typhon? Typhon's crazy. I think Typhon turns off our deck a bit too much. Like, it's literally just like a card that's designed to be branded, so I don't know about that one. 50 viewers right now. How's it going? How's it going, y'all? Make sure to leave a like on the stream, though. 18 viewers, 54 people watching. I know you guys could run up that like button. Make sure to leave a like if you haven't already. Join, get a channel membership, check out that TCG player affiliate link. Really does help out, support the channel, support me making more branded content. So this is, yeah, no, I it's an okay list. There's a couple of changes I'd make, but I do appreciate the main deck Nibiru. We do have Caleb Stout, an 80 player top 8 regional in Paisley. And it's 50 card, our first 50 card list. We do have 55 viewers right now, so I guess it just makes sense. Nib is for a YCS where you know you'll play against all fire. That's a very good point, Yuri Diaz. I'm doing very well at your Neep, though. Thanks for asking. Alexander Wang, I just started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And want to play branded. I don't have any of the cards above $20. Which one do you think I should focus on buying first? So, that's a good question. Do you have a Lubellion? Because I think Lubellion is what comes to mind, but obviously Quem is probably the most important. As much as I would like to say you could just run an ad lib over a Quem, at the end of the day, if you want to go into a tournament, I think Quem helps your deck out really a lot in this meta. It just gives your grind game a lot more backbone. So because it's ad lib on legs every turn, and also puts cards in rotation for you, and also can loop Mirror Jade. I mean, that's what ad lib does. So I would go for the ad lib, or sorry, the Quem. So it seems like with Cartesia, it's an uninterrupted gimmick lock, but without it, it's not. No, it's not dependent on Cartesia. Uninterrupted gimmick lock means that you're under branded Lost and you chain Sanctifier to target a gimmick puppet when branded Lost is in the chain. So it's like chain link 1, Albion, chain link 2, branded Lost, and then your opponent can't respond. So you go chain link 3, and then you chain link 3 Sanctifier to target the gimmick puppet, for example, and then it's uninterrupted because your opponent cannot respond since you're under the branded Lost protection window. I'm going to be making a branded Lost explainer guide very soon, guys, so make sure to look out for that. Sure, leave a like and support the channel too. I'm going to be pumping out a lot of really great free branded content, so very much would appreciate the support. So, Jake the Mountain Man, I'm def glad I'm not the only one thinking about dropping Droll. I'd rather run more thrust targets. When I went to the case tournament recently, Droll did nothing. Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of like our experience overall, and then also Droll is there. I mean, it's there for Rogue at this point. So if you see a lot of Rogue, I'd keep it in. If not, you very much cuttable in my opinion. Like, it'll hurt against your Manadia matchup, but obviously Super Poly goes very hard in that matchup, and so does Droplet, so I think you'll just be fine if you're running those cards. Card list by Caleb Stout. Congrats to him. We have 1 Albion, 3 Aluber, 2 Cartesia, the Bestials, Albaz, Tragedy, Merc, Kit, 3 Fenrir. I mean, we'll just go over the spicy stuff. The 3 Fenrir is spicy, 1 Quem. Seems incorrect with no ad lib in that 50 card list. That seems very incorrect to me, but that's fine. Because you just need it for a grind game, and just not seeing the Quem really hurts. Fenrir is cool because it gives you discard fodder for all these cards that discard. This one of Imperm is such a funny thrust target, though. It's like the thrust target you need when you don't have branded fusion in graveyard. That's just... I understand it, but it seems incorrect in my opinion. But that's fine. It's still a good list. So 3 Book of Eclipse is very spicy as well. I think Book of Eclipse obviously is there. It's pretty decent against Kashtira, and then also gets over Imperm. Outside of that, I don't see why we would be main decking it right now, but it seems like it worked out for him. And then we have the Masquerade and 2 Mirror Jade, and Lulu with the Nadirs and the Thrust package, 1 Tactics, 3 Super Poly. So we're seeing guys a lot of Thrust, a lot of Super Poly, a lot of Nadirs so far for sure. The Fenrir is a bit of an outlier. I don't think we're going to be seeing too much more of, but he sided a lot of hand traps, which is cool. I've always considered this with branded, siding hand traps. But I think that Ash is pretty bad right now, unless you're seeing a lot of Lab in your side, and then Droll is also quite bad right now. But obviously, if you need it for the Rogue, that's fine. You have the Bells. I think Bell's pretty good right now because it hits Lab and it hits Fire King, and you can't Hita. You can't get heated off of it. So I think it could be in our side for sure. You have the with the Cosmic Cyclones, then we have the Feather Duster and the Banishment, the Evenly. Evenly is just like a thrust target, and same with the Duster, and then the Banishment. I mean, Banishment's just like always like there. Cool list, cool list. So let's go to Jeffrey Mendes, top 860 players at a Santo Domingo regional. Lots of South American regionals. Fenrir is something I tested with a lot last format, guys. So it's something that we could certainly run. Oh, I see a Furious as well, and this is a 44 card list with Crossout and Bell and Ash Blossom with Imperm. I think that's the correct Crossout package, all things considered. I think Bell needs to be in there if you're running Crossout, in my opinion. Fenrir, double Fenrir is kind of wild, but he does have the Magnuma as well. I would just like, there's too many hands I see where you just brick with this deck though, with like all the hand traps and like Bestials and Crossouts and like Banishment main deck with a single duplication. So that tells me he just didn't have a thrust. So I mean, it seems like he's missing a couple cards, but I mean, he still did well. I mean, you have the Furious as well, which is cool. The Furious, I still don't believe in it personally. I've never brought one to a tournament and done well with it. I think I had it in Nats and it did nothing. But yeah, it's cool. Mirror Jade's cool. Double Mirror Jade. Pank is also something that we haven't seen yet through these lists. I think Pank is something that we can use for this format quite well. We have the Feather Duster and 3 Evenly. I love Evenly right now. Evenly has just always been my favorite side deck card, always the most impactful side deck card to me, and it's not the best because of some Omni negates, but it's really good right now because Fire King doesn't stop a lot. Masquerade, so yeah. And then we have Manuel Perzola in the chat saying, yo, what's up, bro? My branded deck is on the way with the mail. Your videos are a ton of help. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Appreciate it. What kind of build are you running with Puppet or not? And then your LDS, you posted a budget list on deck list. 1 minute under $50. I'll have to check that out. Eclipse the raid wide, the raid raptors. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Jake the Mountain Man. But yeah, so that was that deck list. Oh my gosh, we're almost to the Yubel deck list, guys. Don't worry. We have branded Voiceless Voices. Is this even a branded deck, guys? No. But we can go over it anyways. So we have branded Voiceless Voice, which is a interesting concoction that people have been trying out this format. I played against one at the regional. I won, but it was a cool, it's yugioh pro deck. So it basically just runs 3 Brand Fusion plus an Albaz to put a Mirror Jade on your board, essentially. And then also make, theoretically, I mean, he has the Entis, which I guess is playable. This is just like, it doesn't do a lot for the Voiceless stack. They don't synergize too well. Because the branded cards are great when you're able to generate advantage off of them, and when you don't run like more than 10 branded cards, you aren't generating advantage off of your branded stuff. So I think Voiceless Voice is very good right now, and this is an interesting build, and we'll see if it becomes better in the future. I just think for right now, it's just kind of an interesting build. We have the 3. I mean, this is really standard stuff. He doesn't play the pendulum. This build does not play the pendulum, which I feel like you should just play the pendulum. Like, you're basically trading the pendulum for Mirror Jade, but it's whatever. 3 tactics, very good. 3 nib. It's a very good list. Very, like, look at how much non-engine they can run. Like, that's nuts. And this is a hand trap too. Like, that's nuts. And then you get to run like Chaos Angel, Herald, freaking Typhon, SP plus these. So it's very cool. If you want like something a bit more flexible with branded, this is something I would probably recommend at this point. It seems better than Brand Chimera. Why no Eradicator Virus run inside 3 sides? I don't think Eradicator Virus is very good. Maybe. And branded particularly, if that's what you're asking. So, did someone say pendulums? Oh my gosh. Pendulum player has entered the chat. So yeah, side deck's cool though. The Bell and the Cosmics. I think Soul Release we'll be seeing more of in these lists. I think Soul Release is basically what we want. Soul Release is very good against the fire decks. Summon Limit is interesting. I think Summon Limit kind of hurts our deck more than anything. But like, also we can play under Maxi pretty well, so I feel like it's fine. So now we're on to, oh boy, this is the Desires list. This might have actually, oh yeah, this was before Phantom Nightmare, so I can't go over that. So here is Jorge Rosa's branded list, and he's running Yubel. A one of Spirit of Yubel with Yubel, the Loving Defender Forever. So that was my dad, no vanity. So yeah, this list I have seen kind of everywhere being a branded player, because everyone was like, whoa, Spirit of Yubel and branded. And on its face it seems okay, but when you just like do 2 seconds of thinking, you realize you can't fusion duplication out a Spirit of Yubel. You could spirit or fusion duplication out a normal Yubel by revealing Kluger. However, off a duplication or deployment, but it's not very good. Obviously, this card's very strong, Yubel, the Loving Defender Forever, because you can basically use a Yubel monster plus a Super Poly to get rid of a whole board, which in theory is actually really good against the Fire King and Snake Eye board. Very, very good. So this is why we could maybe consider it in our deck. However, the one of is interesting because most of the time, what are you going to do with this? Are you just puppeting it, or are you like specialing off a puppet? You're going to send it like it's a hand trap too. It's a battle phase hand trap, which is cool. Basically saves you from dying, which is cool. So like I could see it. It's just an okay card in general, especially as a one of. So the more I see it, the more I understand. It's just that I would doubt he ever super polyed it for a Loving Defender, but he did release a deck profile on it. I don't speak Spanish though, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be in Spanish. So I don't know. I was thinking Jake the Mountman thinking Book of Eclipse could help. Helpful to out the unaffected Raptor's Tower. Does that work against it? Because if it's unaffected, then it shouldn't be able to get Book of Moon. And if it's just affected by spells and traps, then like just, you know, other things. I haven't read all the card, or well, yeah. So this is a cool list. I mean, he's running Regained, which seems kind of troll in my opinion. You do have the Magnamut Regain just doesn't seem that great right now for us. I mean, he does have the Magnum though, so I guess for an Advantage Loop. He does have the Nadir with the Gimmick Lock though, so it's like it's a competent build, especially with the thrust. Something to try out maybe. More of, we do have the Bells, the Nibs, and then the Herald and the Cosmics, and then the one of Evenly for the thrust. So then we have top 861, and that was 120 players, so congrats to him. Then we have Divide Deli Kari for the top 8s. Oh, this is Brand Chimera. I guess we'll go over it very quickly. Where's Brand Chimera? So this list runs, it's like, it's just standard Branded Chimera. They have a Typhon, they have a Dragoon, Deflector, Magic Deflector for the Thrust Engine with D Barrier. Not much else to say. And then we have this top 4 Springfield list, which is a 200 player regional, so pretty sizable. And then we have, I'm not even going to try to say the name. I don't want to butcher it. We do have a crossout package here with no thrust, with Ash Blossoms, with Valor, and Quem. So it looks like a pretty good list. Obviously, we're back to the hand trap build here. Looks like it worked out for him, guys. And like I've always said, hand traps are fine in Branded. Some people just don't believe in hand traps in Branded. I think they're fine. You just have to deck build correctly. I think overall board breakers are better, but like if you don't want to run thrust in the main, I guess this makes sense. And also if you're expecting more hand traps, he does run the shifter in the side though, which is crazy. Obviously for going second, and then like no Dragoon though. So I don't know exactly what we go into to OTK through shifter. I guess we could set up Puppet that way on our opponent's turn. I'm not sure. It's a cool list. He has the Brand High Spirits. Not too many targets, but Valor is a target. So there you go. Brand White for the Borreload Furious. I do like that. I do like that. Cool list. Cool list. I do like the Droll, Soul Release, Thrust, Evenly, Duplication. That seems fine. Siding. I just made these instead of the crossouts, frankly. It just seems like a bit too much, but worked out for him. Congrats to him as well. Then we got Andre Torres's list. Did we go over this at all? We kind of did. We went over his game on stream last time. I do really like this list. I like the 3 High Spirits. I like the 3 Albion. I don't like the Patchwork Engine right now. I mean, it's okay. It's pretty good against certain decks, but I think that 3 Albion and the High Spirits really goes in hard. He does run the 3 Tactics and 3 Thrust. I think that's correct. The Duplication. Very good list. 50 card list. It shows that you guys can run like 50 cards. Just got a deck build. I think that the Patchwork Engine's something that is very cuttable, but I think it works in certain contexts. The one Quem, he said he just didn't want brick, so that's why like certain ratios are off. So because this was a 16-player tournament just full of Fire Kings, so he was expecting that. Magma is so good in the right matchup, but completely dead everywhere else is no Vanity. Fair enough. That's what I'm saying. Like, and sometimes with so much tactics going around, you just play into that card way too much, in my opinion, with a Bestial. You do have the Mistaken Arrest, which is cool. I think that Mistaken Arrest is basically just going to end up being the same thing as Droll, though, where it's not that good. So, I don't know. He said it was good in testing, and then when he used it in his feature match, he lost with it. So, it's probably... You know, we'll see. It's probably like, you know, so-so. Magnum, the reliever, is cool, though, because it's good against certain matchups, and then you get to keep recurring the poly, so I think that's correct when you're running the Frightfur Engine. You do have the Masquerade for the time, and the Puppet in the main deck with Soul Release, Dark Ruler. He said Dark Ruler was there for, like, Manadium, I think. It's also good against Snake Eye, though. He doesn't have the droplets, so... I'm sure it was fine, and then it's good with the Evenly, and then the DDG for the thrust target against fire. Then we have Brand Chimera with Shadal cards in the side running the App Cologne package. He Except they're running the Shikanaga because they can send the Gazelle to start your combo, which is really good, I feel like. This makes a lot of sense for this deck to run it because of Shikanaga. Just starts your engine. It's another branded fusion, essentially. I think for our deck, it's not as good because it's like, are we going to send a Dark and make Winda? Like, no. Jake the Mom, doesn't Book of Eclipse affect the players so unaffected monsters would still get flipped? I mean, I thought it was like Book of Moon, so, but maybe. I mean, I know it doesn't target, but I just thought it still applied the same. So, yeah, this is pretty standard list outside of that. I mean, he's running the Hex Sealed for the Dragoon, so there you go. Branded Voiceless Voice, another one of these lists. Basically the same that we just saw. Literally the same list. I mean, we've seen a couple Draco quests. Panzer Dragon's just funny. Then we have Juan Gibry's list, top 8. From Rosario Regional, 140 players. Not bad at all, not bad at all. We're running Droplet. 40 cards, you'll love to see it as DB Grinder. But got Droplets, got Nadirs. Very standard list. I mean, it's 40 though, with the ad lib. No Puppet. Puppet in the side though. So he didn't feel like he needed to main it. I feel like he had some grindy game ones. That's okay though. And then we have the Hand Trap package and the Board Breakers. So yeah. And then we have Gold Sark and Foolish for the starters. That makes sense in a 40 card list just to keep it tight. He has the Nadir Servants though with the Super Poly, so that's cool. You have the Drolls, the Ashes, the Bells on the side. With the Gimmick Puppet, I just personally like the Puppet in the main, but as we see, we can play it both ways. Cosmic and Evenlies. And then the last build, this top 16 brand Despia list with Puppet and Frightfur. It's almost like a Andre Torres list basically, but we do have the Spriggan's kit, 2 Aluber F44 cards with the Ejim package with Nibiru as his only hand trap with the Tactics and Super Poly. Makes sense. Brand Whites. We've been seeing a couple Brand Whites. It's certainly an option this format for us. I think it helps play through some hand traps. Just gotta make sure it fits into your build. Then we have the 2 Grand Guignol. I think we're gonna see that come up more. I think Grand Guignol is quite good right now. Yeah, like Evenly's quite good. Like you can Evenly like a Noir. And then we have the Masquerade on the side, Soul Release, Thrust, and Dupe. So yeah, shout out to him. So yeah, those were all the lists. And as we see from this data, I think that Brand Despia is doing very good, all things considered. And we should see these numbers basically stay. I mean, like people are already running Ash. You know, you might see people's side decks start respecting Despia a little bit more. In that case, you know, things like Dragoon might have to come back out to get around these cards, but it's something that we'll have to consider. I think that we have a very good matchup into Fire King and Snake Eye and Voiceless Voice, so I think that's why we're going to be doing quite good this format. Just not a lot of people believing in on the deck, so that's why you see low representation, but it's still the 4th topping deck. If more people got on the deck, I think it would be better. So and remember guys, make sure to check out my video coming up here, unless it's already out. It'll be down in the description on how to play against Fire King, Voiceless Voice, Snake Eye, and Raid Raptor. I'm going to release a guide on all the tips and tricks and cheats. Not cheats, obviously, but, you know, the hacks, the life hacks on how to beat these decks. Out to the channel members, we have recently started channel memberships, so if you'd like to support the channel for $5 a month and get some great channel perks, including getting all of my deck lists early and some early videos, then make sure to sign up. You also get a cool shout out. So shout out to this month's channel members, Yuri Diaz and Foss Squared. Thank you guys so much.